All right, so those of you who don't know, my name's Rick, and that's a little baby G. It's a BMW 310, G310 GS. Little adventure style bike, dual sport bike. If you want to know all the awesome things about it, well, you can just go online and look at your specs yourself. There's Julie's bike. Some of you might say that that is a cruiser bike, but it's not. It's a Kawasaki Eliminator, and that's what she likes to ride. So a lot of people have been asking. In fact, nobody has. Hey, what are you riding? When did you start riding? Tell me a little bit about your adventure. Well, let me tell you. It all started about a year ago. Yeah, so my exposure to motorcycle riding is very limited. Many, many years ago, about, I don't know, 23 or something. Oh shoot, put myself in neutral. Hey, that's what it's all about right there, clutch control. I had a little bit of exposure to a motorcycle, sitting on it, scooting it, or whatever. And that was about it, right? Didn't go anywhere. I had the interest, had friends, you know, get the street bikes and whatnot, and it was awesome. You want to look cool. This is long before YouTube and the internet. So, unless you had friends or family or grew up with motorcycles, you basically had to learn on your own. Well, I wasn't around them enough to learn anything, and life happens and they get away from it. My good friend, who lives outside of and around Asheville, which are some of those videos that you've been seeing post Helene. They were shot 2 weeks afterwards, which I still have a couple more days from being there that I haven't put out yet. And I know what you're thinking. That's pretty awesome. But why is it taking so long? Well, because I'm not monetizing anything, and I don't think that you should monetize other people's loss and grief. And really, it's about getting out there for the world to see. And I'll get to it when I get to it. So, anyway, back to the story. A couple years ago, he was showing all this interest in motorcycle riding. I was like, really? Oh, that's awesome. And I hadn't really thought about, you know, doing that. Not being around anyone who rode motorcycles, but he was really into it. I was like, well, sweet. So I started to do my research and get into it, and that's why I got into it. And with the dawn of YouTube, man, there's so much information out there. It's like, well, how do you even choose? How do you even decide what to ride? You know, there's no wrong answer. You just pick what you like, really. What do you like? I know it's a hard decision because you like all kinds of styles. Well, you just have to pick one. And people say, well, you learn on what you learn on, and that's great. You know, if you want to learn on an 800-pound bagger bike, then go right ahead if you've never ridden one before. But honestly, I don't think that's a good idea. You know, because there's no way in being discouraged quicker than not being able to push it around or handle that big old beast. So anyway, I chose an adventure style bike. I like the idea of being able to go on a little gravel dirt patch, or get on the grass pretty easy. And now, I mean, this doesn't have big knobby tires. It's not a dirt bike or anything, and you can tell that all my riding is on the road. But when you live in Tulsa, it is kind of adventure because of the thousands of potholes that are around here. So it's kind of like riding off-road. So you choose what you choose, you like what you like, and there's no real wrong answer. There's lots of good information out there as to how to get started. I taught myself. I'm 46 years old. No, I'm sorry. I learned when I was 46. I'm 47. I started a year ago in December. And I think that's awesome. Taught myself, watched YouTube videos, and you gotta be patient, you gotta go slow, and you gotta be willing to take your time for the first week or two. And if you have a neighborhood and access to a bunch of cul-de-sacs and straight streets, then there you go. I got my bike on December 15th in the heart of, well, not the heart of winter, but I started to learn when it was really cold, and I just pushed it around my garage a little bit where it was flat. I got used to the weight. I sat on it. I got used to the weight between my legs. I got used to the clutch control, the friction zone. I played with that for a while, you know, and actually for the first couple days, that's all I did. I kind of got on my driveway where it's, you know, most driveways have a little bit of a slope to them, and I just gently rocked it back and used the friction zone and let off the clutch and let it roll forward a little bit, squeezed on it, let it roll back. You know, I don't have my feet on the pegs. I'm just sitting there. I'm not grabbing the front brake. You know, I'm just kind of using my feet to keep it from rolling back. I would grab the front brake a little bit if I needed it to stop from rolling backwards, but I just played with the friction zone, got used to the weight. And there's some good videos out there that'll teach you how to do that. Well, the biggest thing is to have patience. And then I rode it straight. I just got on it. And the best thing that you can do is to, as soon as you start rolling, is to lift your feet and go with it. You got to lift your feet and just ride it like a bike. And you'll be surprised how easy it is. But you don't want to panic. And clutch is your friend. It's all about the clutch. And when you're going slow, become familiar with that rear brake, because the rear brake is your friend in slow speed maneuvers. You do not want to be grabbing that front brake when you're trying to go real slow, especially if you're turning. You will drop that bike in a second. So anyway, I spent a lot of time. I spent 2 weeks driving around my neighborhood and just first, second gear, just up and down the gears, just up and down, working the clutch, stopping at the stop signs, just practicing getting used to a cul-de-sac, taking them nice and wide. And you got to turn your head. The biggest thing about turning is to get it's one thing we like to look with our eyes and we think that's good enough, but if you will actually take your head and turn it 90 degrees and force your body into that muscle memory, it will help you, because you will go where you're looking, and you want to look out in front of you. You know, you want to look where you're turning. You don't want to be looking down here. You want to be looking at the horizon and let your peripheral do the work, you know. So anyway, Christmas Day was the first day that I actually got out on the street. I was brave. There wasn't a lot of, no traffic. And I went a quarter of a mile down the street, pulled into a parking lot, and like a little elementary school, and I started doing some practice maneuvers. And rode back down the street and went home. And the next day I went a little bit farther. So that's kind of how I got started. I am a amateur at best. I am not an off-road dirt bike guy. You throw me out on a dirt track and I probably would fall over. So, but little by little, you know, do the best that I can. I think it's really important to practice on important things. I know when I was looking at bikes, you know, guy was like, oh man, if you can get you a small dirt bike, you could tear it up, you know, and then you'll become an even better street rider. And I can agree with that, because you're learning off-road skills, but unless you live rural and you have access to dirt roads and all that, then you have to go with what you got. And if you got straight roads, you know, that's great. If you got curvy roads, even better. You know, my friend, he learned on hills and curves, which can be tough when you're starting out on a bike with a seat height of 34 inches or 35 inches and you're trying to balance the bike. You know, this one's only like 32 and a half. So you definitely want to be comfortable on a bike that you can easily maneuver. This bike's only 385 wet, I think, so it's not very heavy. I can touch both feet. You know, I'm not flat-footed. I'm on the balls of my feet if I stretch it down, but you know, I didn't want to start with something that was too tall, too heavy. I wanted it to be more manageable. And I like the idea of a cruiser bike. Julie has a cruiser bike. I want to get one eventually. I kind of like the Hyper Naked. It's a bunch of gravel. I think honestly my next bike, it obviously will be something much different than this, more power. I really like the Yamaha. I like the MT-09. So probably that one. Oh. I do want to get a cruiser bike eventually, but for now, I've got this, and I'm comfortable with it. Every day you learn something new. So you find yourself a nice parking lot, you practice that clutch control. There's some really good videos out there. It's all about the clutch. You can keep the bike revving. Bikes are meant to maintain their RPMs. At least that's what they say. So it's okay to keep the RPMs up, but you're controlling it with the clutch. And you're tapping that back brake. So this is a road that Julie, I don't take her down. Her bike, it makes her nervous, all these potholes and all this loose gravel, and I get it. I get it. I mean, it's not exactly the cruiser type of road with all this loose gravel and these potholes everywhere. So, but yeah, clutch control and practice doing circles and U-turns. Start out big, be comfortable, you know, don't try to overdo it. But the most important thing is to work that clutch and to be comfortable doing slow maneuvers and practice in a straight line, you know. Coming all the way down here, look at that, downshift. See how I've got it revved up, but I've got the clutch halfway in. I'm tapping the brake, let the clutch out, squeeze the clutch in, rev it up. Look out in front of you. I'm kind of pointing my head down so you can see the speed, but I'm just tapping my brake, but I'm keeping my eyes on the horizon because that's where I'm going. And just practice doing that, man. You practice doing that in straight lines for a long time, then doing a circle will be easy, because then you'll be able to, anytime you need power, you know, if you're keeping it revved, you're like, oh shoot, you let off of it and it wants to go, wants to straighten out, you know. But there's horses over there. That's what I did. That's what I did for a couple weeks, you know. And lo and behold, 2 months later, Julie got a bike, which made me really, really nervous because she was pretty excited about wanting to ride. I was kind of pretty shocked that it was something that she wanted to do. I'm really glad that she did, but I was like, it was a big investment to jump all in, and you're all in on buying a bike, buying a helmet, buying the gear, and she ain't even ridden. Now, we tried to get her to sit on my bike, but it's just too dang tall. She couldn't do it, and it's slow and easy wins the race with her, because the last thing you want is to get frustrated and disappointed, and then there goes that little bitty flame of excitement. So we went and sat on every bike we could find at different dealerships, so that way she could decide what was comfortable for her. And well, we looked at Harleys and BMWs and KTMs and Triumphs, all that stuff, and she sat on that Kawasaki. The Eliminator had just come out for 2024, and she loved it. So if you love it, you're gonna ride it, and she did. And we took it slow. I drove it up to the there's a high school that's close to us, and she drove behind in the truck, and she would sit on it, and she would walk it, power walk it with the clutch, turn it around, power walk it back, and then we spent several weekends, maybe 4 or 5 maybe. Eventually she got to the point where she was riding it, and then, I mean, just like that, she was ready. Now, we're not professionals. We're not out there doing figure eights and crazy stuff like that. That'll come with time, For her, I can handle that stuff a little bit better because I have spent more time practicing. But anyway, that's how I got started. Driving high speed like this in the Oklahoma wind would scare the snot out of me in the beginning, because I'd be like, man, I'm being pushed all over. It's so windy. And this isn't bad wind. This is like, I don't know, 15 mile an hour. It's not a big deal. Sorry. But, it's an unnerving feeling. But it's not too terribly exciting riding here. It's just a bunch of straight roads, That's why I was super excited to be able to go to North Carolina and ride some of the Blue Ridge. The hurricane delayed it a couple weeks. In fact, I thought I wasn't going to be able to go at all. And but it worked out. I had to go south and come up through Georgia, because I-40 is closed. It's still closed. Actually, I think it's getting ready to open. Let's see, what is this, the last day of February? I think I saw on the news it's getting ready to open like tomorrow or the next day or something. So anyway, I was super blessed to be able to go and ride the Blue Ridge with my friend. Take some real curvy roads and see scenery. This is about as mountain-esque as you get, unless you go out towards Tahlequah or to the Grand Lakes. It's pretty far. It's like an hour plus to drive over there, which a lot of you are saying, oh, that's not a big deal, but it is when you're having to, we take care of my mom, so we don't have as much time as we would like to ride. When we get out, we have a few hours here and there, so by the time you spend an hour riding somewhere, you only got a little bit of time to actually ride it before you have to spin it out. So we just don't have that kind of time. But that's just for right now. These videos are for everyone who cares. So a couple of you. And if you don't, well, this is just Rick's ramblings, just me talking, telling you a little bit about my success on a motorcycle. And you ride what you ride, and for those that are thinking that it's too late in life, it's never too late in life to start doing something, to learn something new. I will tell you that this is a whole lot cheaper than learning how to fly a helicopter, which I have taken a couple lessons on 2 different types of helicopters, the Robinson, and then the Giambri, I think is what it's called. Now that's like the Cadillac of helicopters. That was pretty sweet, but that's a very, very expensive hobby. So unless you got about $500 an hour to burn, I'd say stick to motorcycles. So anyway, so I'm glad that I did. I'm glad that Julie was interested and she wants to ride. I'm pretty excited about that. We're gonna ride until we can't ride anymore in our life, and then we'll probably switch over to Can-Ams. Be out there, couple 90-plus-year-olds out there riding Can-Ams around. That'll be fun. Anyway, but yeah, you guys, I've only been riding for a little over a year. It's been a lot of fun, learning a lot of stuff. I haven't dropped my bike or anything on the street. I have dropped my bike right here. See that? I cracked my, of course this isn't even real. This is like plastic. This is plastic. It's BMW ABS plastic, but it's not, doesn't do nothing. I've dropped it a couple times pushing it, and it fell over. I was in gravel, and anyway, I wasn't going down the road or nothing. But that's my zip tie fix. But there's some good videos out there to learn. This is certainly not an educational video. All I can do is let you know that, hey, it's all about clutch control, man. Learn that clutch. Tap that rear brake. Turn that head when you want to go somewhere. We're just out scooting around on my little baby 310. I may go out later on Julie's bike. She's not around, so I can take hers out. Hers is a lot different. The steering is, the handlebar is a little bit more in, and the radius, because this front wheel is a 19 front wheel, so it's a little bit bigger, so it handles tighter turns better. Hers, that type of bike can tip easily, more easily on you, unless you're used to it. I've had a chance to ride the V-Strom, a friend's bike. I don't know if you saw the videos. I rode his 8R in the parking lot, and it's V-Strom. And those are nice, very comfortable, good bikes. He also has a SV650, which is a cruiser bike. It's also nice. I didn't ride that one though. Alright, so I'm filming this on a DJI Action 4, Osmos Action 4 camera with a DJI mic, the wireless mic. It's inside my helmet. And filming it in 4K, 60 frames per second. so that way all of you can hear me more clearly on your cathode ray TVs. Ensuring that the sound quality is excellent. It's really windy today, so I'm really going to have to buffer this wind. But hopefully it's not too bad. I really like DJI stuff. When I was first starting out, I was like, you know what, I want to document my experiences. I want to be able to share my experiences with my friend. And anyone else who's come along for the ride that's stumbled across this random channel and you found it halfway amusing, which is always fun with YouTube. That way the world can see different stuff, you know, they can see various things and whatnot. But that was the reason why, and I was going back and forth, you know, and at the time I was like, well, the GoPro didn't have a wireless mic. Everything had to be wired in, which I understand the appeal to that, so you don't have to charge something else. But I'm happy with DJI. They had really good technology. They make really amazing drones. One day it would be nice to get one of those, have it fly over my shoulder. Be kind of cool. They're definitely the premier drone maker in the world. They're really putting the action cameras very competitive against GoPro. GoPro's been out there for so long. I think they both have their strong points. I think GoPro's up their game just because of DJI, which is nice. So anyway, that's why I got into filming this. Not because I was trying to make a buck, because I don't have anything interesting. I'm not a content creator. I'm not sitting there in front of the camera. Maybe one day when we live in a more interesting area and there's more interesting things to look at, people might be more entertained. Because straight roads are not very exciting. But one day there'll be more to look at. And if there is something, if we do have the opportunity to go farther out, Julie and I, around here, and we get to go to a different place, obviously, I'll be able to record that. Otherwise, it's just more of the same stuff around here, you know. That's why she's like, yo, you need to talk more, you need to say more personal stuff, you know. And like I said, for everyone that's out there asking, which has been nobody, I thought I would get out there and let everyone hear myself talk. Just ramble on about stuff. How I got started, you know. I know that some of you out there are older and you've been riding your whole life, and that's awesome. And some might be brand new, like me, and I think that's cool too. And I think it's awesome that more people can get out there. I mean, I've watched videos of these guys that are, oh, they look like they're in their 70s. Crazy. And they're out there tearing it up adventure style, doing the BDR and all this other stuff, and it's just like, dang, you know. And they're just going around in the United States where it's safe. They're not all doing itchy boots or nothing. That's cray cray. Don't be ridiculous. So, but that's pretty cool, you know. She's inspired a lot of people. There's a lot of other people out there that do the same thing, that travel Europe and travel other countries. But I think it would be neat to go around the United States and see a lot of the sights, but I don't think I'm going to travel my bike cross country. You know, I know what y'all are thinking. That's how you do it. I'm okay if I trailer my bike to an area and then spend a good many days or a week driving all over the area. But I don't really want to spend 2 or 3 days driving cross country on the highway on a motorcycle. That just makes me tired, I think. You know, driving on the highway long distance on a motorcycle doesn't interest me. Now I like the idea of doing the trails, and I think some of those groom things, and maybe one day Julie and I can do that together. But we'll just have to get that confidence up and practice doing that. But I'm okay doing single track, single lane roads. I think that's awesome. And seeing the country, I'm okay with that too. But yeah, there's a lot to see, and love riding where you live, you know. It might not be the most exciting thing, but sometimes it's about the ride, and you gotta enjoy the ride, you know. You gotta live life to the fullest. You gotta love your life and enjoy the moment. Because if you can't enjoy the mundane moments of your life, then it takes away and it actually lessens the more exciting moments, right? Because then you're constantly wanting to live for that exciting moment high, and that can actually be worse for you to do that. It's actually better if you can learn to love the mundane. So if you can love the Mondays and the Tuesdays and the grind of work, you know, I know this may sound silly, but if you can love the mundane of riding, even if it's not that exciting and you do the same roads over and over, then when you have those awesome moments, like when I went to North Carolina, man, I appreciate it so much. I come back, I'm like, I just want to ride the mundane because it was fun to ride, you know, and so it's sustaining, right? And it's all about your outlook on life, and it's all about how you choose to live and how you choose to appreciate things, because at the end of the day, it's all about an attitude of gratitude. I'm grateful for the weather. You know, it can get nasty cold here just like it can get nasty hot, you know, because it is what it is. And one day it would be awesome to live someplace where the temperature is more even keeled, and that'd be great, you know. And everything is seasonal, so this is not forever, and one day I'll have that opportunity and be putting out videos of all those new things. What is that? Is that a Tesla? That's a Tesla. It's a SpaceX. SpaceX, that's cool. I've seen SpaceX. I've been down there to Florida and seen the launch pad. It's pretty neat. It's pretty cool. But yeah, you gotta love life. Enjoy the ride wherever it takes you. Sometimes the road is bumpy, and sometimes the road is smooth, and sometimes the season is not so much fun as other seasons, just like regular life is. But you know, riding a motorcycle there's a lot of parallels to that. Being able to control it properly, you know, so that way you can maintain a safe and smooth ride. So, really? Well, shoot. I was gonna go straight, but that was a short light. Anyway, so that was my monologue of encouragement. Don't know how much of that will make it into the video. Depends on how much road ranting people can tolerate. Some people, it's not that exciting to listen to someone just jabber on. But we'll see. It's so windy today. The Corvette, it's really dirty. Last week, I mean, it's going to be like 78 today. Last week it was like 13 as the high. It's crazy. I'd be taking that thing to the car wash. I can't believe he's out driving it around so dirty. These things are so expensive. You know how many motorcycles you could buy? Buy a lot of motorcycle. At least 2 or 3 motorcycles. They were really high end, or you could buy one really good motorcycle. That's what I do. I'd buy one really good motorcycle. Spend $120,000. I don't need a Corvette. Just give me a $120,000 motorcycle. Yeah. I'll wait till I can be a little bit more experienced rider before I trust myself with $120,000 motorcycle. That'd be crazy. At least something with a little bigger engine. You gotta get used to the power. But that's all right. You get good at the small stuff with the clutch control and the braking, and then you'll be able to keep that power in check. You know, it's like riding a horse. You start off riding one of those horses that's so old, it can do the walking trail blind. You know, it takes no effort. And you get used to riding and used to controlling. And then you can go get yourself a horse that wants to run. I rode a horse bareback once. It wasn't even broke. And they all thought it was fun to see who could stay on the wild horse the longest. And that was, needless to say, it wasn't very long. It was a very brief stint before ending up on my butt. Hey, look at that. Putting in something, doing something. All right, we're gonna go down 4K action on Main Street. That way you can see how awesome it looks. All right, if you hear a little bit of noise, it's because of the wind. Put my visor up. They got some good Mexican food there, Maya. It's pretty good. That's something right there, let me tell you. He had himself a tie-dye, looked like mushrooms, tie-dye mushroom shirt. That's coming along since they redid it. It's nice. Lots of places to eat, lots of places. Haven't been in District Burger yet. Looks pretty good though. Well, we'll go back and get a snack, I think. See where things are at. Maybe I'll go out and ride again. Maybe I'll ride Julie's bike. Might be fun. Yeah, those are neat little row houses right there. Crazy expensive though. And it's not even like a super nice area. I mean, it's nice right there if you don't look anywhere else. Well, I appreciate everyone riding with me. Listen to me ramble. If you found it interesting, good. If you found it boring, well, that's okay too. The important thing is just keep riding in the upright position. That's what's most important. And I'll see y'all on the next one. Well, all right. I'll ride around on the little scoot bike and get all warmed up on this. Get our bearings on this bike.